Welcome to TechZine TV.
Welcome to TechZine TV. We're at Workday Rising in the US and we're talking to Joe Wilson. He's Global CTO at Workday. We're going to talk about what you announced today and a bit yesterday already. Because it's a lot. I think what stood out for me were, if I look at the last couple of months, you did a lot of acquisitions. And you bought a lot of product, a lot of future features, I guess, because you're probably going to integrate a bunch of stuff. Is there like a general line in what you're acquiring, what you're looking for to extend your products, basically?
So first of all, great observation. We've been wildly acquisitive over the last few months. And as you've seen, a lot of that thematic around those acquisitions have centered around this concept of agents, right? So Flowise or SANA as announced today, et cetera, right? And even Paradox from kind of a product side. I would say that this is actually nothing new for us, but it's something that we've been doing for the better part of probably 17 years in our 20-year journey, except it's accelerated and gotten more focused now around this tool set that will support what we believe is the future in terms of agentic frameworks. And so, yeah, it's pretty great. The companies that we have acquired are fascinating. They build great tech. And more importantly, the people are very much in alignment culturally with what we do. And one of the core tests that we think about as we do make acquisitions, and it hasn't changed in the 17 years that we've been doing them, is that we want them to operate very similar to how Workday does, right? We will not accept an acquisition target that has multiple products, right, that are separate and distinct. We want to be very centered and very focused on what they do, be excellent at it, but also to be culturally aligned so that when they come in, we don't experience disruption, but it's merely additive and creates an outsized return.
But you're purely buying the product they're developing, or are you also buying to get the talent? Because sometimes both.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you going to use all the products they have from the last month? To be determined.
Yeah.
Okay. If we zoom in a bit on the announcements you did the last days, there's the Workday Data Cloud, which struck me as another data cloud. You know, it's a name that's being used by many companies.
Yeah.
To be clear, it's not a new database; it's a layer on top of your data stack.
So within the Workday itself, there's only a single graph, right? We don't have multiple databases floating around. It's just one place where all data is represented, stored, actioned, etc. And so the data cloud is actually something that answers a lot of the itch that our customers have been scratching for a long time, which is, hey, help me play better with the data that's actually captured and stored in Workday as a system of record, and then let it play well across the enterprise data strategies that we have, specifically as people have migrated from kind of that legacy model of a warehouse into kind of this more modern model of a lake. And so you saw, for example, Snowflake on stage today. They're not the only player, obviously. It's going to be Databricks, it's going to be Salesforce, any of these that have massive plays, and then being able to have the bi-directional exchange of data, but more importantly, to not fall into that trap where data starts to be duplicated everywhere and then ends up as dead data everywhere.
But it's also a way of integrating with other tools.
Do so seamlessly without actually creating, again, those historical artifacts of data and duplicity everywhere.
So in the past, companies integrated with Prism, right, to get data out of Workday. Is it going to replace, or is it going to be next to it?
Yeah, so when we think about Prism, we bought that. It's another one of our acquisitions. We bought that company because they did something very unique with high volume data loads. Customers since the very beginning have been able to use Workday's native APIs to do data ingress egress. And that's something that's very common, but shockingly not as easy across a lot of services. But being built cloud first and cloud only, we knew we had to deliver a capability around this, and that was fermented in 2008 when we bought Cape Clear, which was the old Irish company that became the Workday Integration Cloud. So those APIs have been around for a long time now. We bought Prism to allow people to do really cool things around kind of this idea of high volume, and also kind of the munging of data to be presented back into Workday to actually operate and look like a first-class citizen, meaning like it was always there.
If you're now using Salesforce or Databricks or Snowflake,
Yeah.
you can easily integrate to Data Cloud. But what if you're using something different? Let's say SAP ERP or something. Or can you also use the Data Cloud?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can also use the APIs that are coming with the Data Cloud to integrate.
That is
Because I talked to your customers in the past and I got some feedback on integrating with Workday was pretty hard. So that's going to improve now a lot.
In fact, we're actually getting to a domain where they can actually have a SQL call via API, something that they're very familiar with. So think through the step change of how we're going to do that, right? It might start with JDBC, it might then go to more of a SQL API. We're going to get to the layers that they're wildly familiar with so they can do more with their data. Because again, you have to think about it from the macro enterprise perspective. We want to be able to honor that relationship.
If we move on to your Workday Build announcement, it's kind of a way of using low code and drag and drop to build AI bots or AI.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that built on Flowise or is that different
No.
technology?
It's different technology.
Okay.
So what you're seeing on the Workday Build side is literally technology that we have built in-house by a brilliant team, and I have nothing but great things to say about what they've done. The good news is, though, is that's actually a step change from what we did with this concept of Workday Extend, where a lot of engineering, passion, and commitment was applied to be able to extend Workday's capabilities. Because remember, it's a single version service, a common foundation that leverages shared frameworks across data, security, reporting, analytics, business process.
I was just wondering if you leverage the technology of Flowise to get that.
No.
So that's separate technology. Are you gonna? Is it anything?
I think it'll be additive. Yeah. So, for example,
But is Flowise a standalone product next to Workday, or do you see some
No.
integration coming? Okay.
Yeah.
So because
Did you also see the announcement that we're going to keep it open source?
yeah, I got that. So it's going to be a standalone service as well. It's open source, but it also offered or still offers a hosted version of something online. Are you going to keep that as well?
See any change?
Okay. But because it's kind of competitive to an NHN, I guess, or many other players in the market. So it's always the question: are you going to eat it and kill it, or are you going to?
Yeah.
But for now, it looks like you're going to keep it on. And
That we made was, again, to keep it open source, which is a bit of a rare decision for companies that spend a lot of money to acquire.
yeah,
But we think it's the right thing to do.
and you're also going to invest in it,
Of course.
to develop it further. And
Absolutely.
because you now built your own low-code thing
Yeah.
with Workday Build. You have Flowise, it's also low-code. And I tried to get a demo of the announcement today from the acquisition of SANA. It mentioned also low-code. I tried to find a demo of that, but it looks like that's just like a chat interface to do low-code. It's not a drag and drop thing, or
No.
I couldn't find the right demo. That's also possible,
Yeah.
of course. But so you kind of have 3 low-code technology stacks
Yeah,
in your
think
company now.
Think about the rationalization opportunity around that. And it's not just about building on Workday, right? So if we have these things out there, if we have the commitment to open source, if we're doing these things, we recognize that a lot of the agentic work is going to be done outside of Workday too. You might be able to build agents, for example, on Flowise or SANA, that have nothing to do with people or money. But you still want to be able to create the agent in a low-code manner using the citizen developer model. And then more importantly, you still want to be able to register the agent, which is why we have been talking about the agent system of record, where Microsoft
Yeah.
is on stage with us today.
Can you explain a bit what the agent system of record exactly is? Because I did get it, but I think for the viewers it's new. Can you explain a bit what it is?
Well, think about like anything that comes into your organization, you probably want to account for it, especially on the human capital side. So, for example, when you get hired in an organization, you're going to be onboarded, you're going to be given certain security or privileges, you're going to be monitored through that employee lifecycle. How is your performance going? Maybe accepting feedback, etc. And eventually, when you decide to take that $1 billion offer and go to the next company, we're going to offboard you in a very nice way. Well, the same thing has to happen for agents.
So most employees are accounted for in a It was previously called an Active Directory or,
Sure.
or an LDAP or whatever,
Yeah.
where the user is stored, the bytes are stored. You want to add the AI agent in that list as well.
Well, it could be within the AD structure, but
Mm-hmm.
also, more importantly, beyond just the AD, which is very much kind of like security
Yeah.
provisioning kind of centric, there was always a system of record somewhere that managed the human capital.
Yeah.
Whether it was the old COBOL systems or the old client server systems, now cloud systems.
Yeah.
And so we actually view the onboarding and the registry capability of an agent with an ASOR, or Workday Agent System of Record. You will onboard them. You're now creating an accounting that this employee, digital, is sitting within your organization. Then, as a part of that onboard event, moving into the company and operating as an agent, will it receive feedback? Yes, it will. Was it good? Was it accurate? Does it need to improve? How do we actually tweak it? And then over time, guess what? We might not need that agent anymore. And so we offboard it. So all the security controls, provisioning, access, all those things we manage within a centralized place that you can create structure and order out of what could be a very complex situation with agents everywhere, and nobody has a single pane of glass around what are they doing, who brought them in, how long are they going to be here.
How can you manage that? I can see how you can onboard that in a system of records kind of way, but how are you going to manage it? Because, like you just said, the agent can run on Workday, then you can control it. It can run in Flowise. You can maybe control it because you acquired it, but it can also run on different AI platforms
Sure.
at Google, at Salesforce, at
Yeah.
ServiceNow, whatever. You can manage them over there.
Exactly what we had Microsoft on stage about today, right? So it doesn't matter where that agent was originated, whether it was Workday Built, a customer extended, partner built, or just third party, it can still be registered in Workday's agent system.
Yeah, but it can be registered, but you can't control it, right? Because
Sure. So
but then it
all-
always has to go through a Workday UI or something to control it.
positioning side for sure, to your point, the AD structure or whatever it might
Yeah.
be. But this goes back to, I think, the kind of that eternal construct of people, process, technology. We're going to provide the technology capability to create a registry that's very robust and allows for that assurity that organizations need. But you still need to have the people and the process side right.
Yeah.
So making sure, for example, that you might want to establish a policy in the organization that if we bring an agent in, doesn't matter if it's in HR or if it's in procurement or finance or wherever, that you're going to follow a process and make sure it's registered so that we can account for it and that we can operate safely as a result.
But if you build an agent on Salesforce or on ServiceNow, yeah, you
Expect the registry will actually account for it.
yeah, but it will also probably pop up within the ServiceNow environment, and they
Sure.
can still run it over there, and you can't stop it then.
But we still, the anticipation is that we're building something that's wildly applicable across the domain so that you can still register it somewhere and account for it irrespective of where it's running. It doesn't matter if it's in ServiceNow or Salesforce. We
But you-
wanted to create one registry, just like it
But is it
doesn't
just a
matter-
registry, or you also want to control the user privilege? But then you have to integrate with the privilege systems of ServiceNow, Salesforce, whatever.
Right.
Okay, so that's the end goal then.
Yeah.
Or you hope that they will agentify that so you can do it with agent to agent.
No.
Yeah, then you don't have to
Right.
integrate it.
Yeah.
Because if you have to support all those APIs, it's going to be a complex world as well, again.
Be complex, and I hope that those that are building out there are going to stick to standards as well.
Yeah. Because I had the same kind of conversation with ServiceNow in the past, because they have
Sure.
probably, you're familiar with the agent control tower they have.
Yes.
I said it's really nice, but with the agent-to-agent protocol and the MCP, it's nice, but it's only about the data. It's never about the vision above that, like the hypervisor level
Sure.
of what is executing. And
Right.
that was kind of where it stopped, like, okay, so you can do it on your own platform, but not on others. And this is kind of the same thing, like there's no protocol to share privileges or whatever. There's no standard for that yet.
We see standards emerging like MCP and A2A in terms of like the
Yeah.
dialogue side, but I can see more standards being fermented over time. The thing is that we want to leverage 20 years of experience in the management of human capital and understand too that agents are going to operate as the digital employee. And if we wanted to use that experience, I think we're well positioned to do something that others simply could only hope for.
There's one other topic I want to get into with you.
Yeah.
Coming back to having 3 different low-code platforms, as it may.
Sure.
Your CEO said Workday is going to be the interface for the new work.
Yeah. New Workday.
Yeah, every employee is going to start their day with Workday and end it because every application will come through Workday. Isn't that hard if you have 3 different platforms?
Well, just remember, you always have to have a starting point, don't you?
Yeah, that's true.
And so I also think about it too, is that there's an opportunity to create a symphony moment. If I've ever been to a symphony, I never would just go and listen to a symphony that only had winds and no brass, or only brass and no percussion. So we're going to start with what we have too, what we've built. So for example, in Workday Build, we're going to leverage what we've done from an investment perspective in Flowise to take some of that great IP. And we'll also leverage, again, what SANA has done in terms of their technology stack. I think taking the best of everything to create something amazing.
But should I see it like the vision is what Salesforce is trying to do with Slack or Microsoft is trying to do with Teams, that you have one application where you're active in all day that manages all your work, basically? Is that the vision behind it? Or?
I don't vision, because the work that people do is traditionally making a widget, helping somebody, da-da-da. So unless you're actually doing that in Workday, like for example, if you're in accounting, the majority of your Workday is probably going to be in Workday.
Yeah.
And like Anil said, it's a great name for a company. But if I'm not in accounting or I'm not in HR, my entire day is not going to probably be in Workday. I'm going to be making machine parts for a jet. I'm going to be...
But if you're sales or marketing or service or...
So last year on stage, as part of an early prelude to what we had today in the conversation around the Data Cloud, we did talk about this idea of interoperability between Salesforce and Workday, not only from a performance measurement perspective, but also to ease this kind of data sharing between those that do work in sales. And so I can see that happening on the broker side, and again, the architectural protocols, MCP, A2A, et cetera, are still being fermented to make sure that we can do this as seamlessly as possible. We have a vision for what it will look like, and we're going to continue to pursue it.
So the strategy behind this all, it is very ambitious. More than the last couple of years, I guess. Because then the focus was more internal to HR and people, and now it's more like we want to be more.
It's been a fascinating journey. Right? I've been at the company now for just over 12 years.
Okay.
And I remember when I joined, we didn't have things like payroll. We didn't have things like learning. And our customers actually led us in that direction. And so I don't think it's out of the realm to say that maybe we're at this same inflection. It's kind of like a mirror of where we've been, and that our customers are asking us to help them. There's a lot of complexity being introduced today with the emergence of AI that's not only commercially available, but that's actually being operationalized, at least from an attempt perspective.
Yeah.
If Workday can help create order to some of that chaos, then we're going to do right by our customers like we've done for 20 years now, and I hope that we can do that.
I can see how you can do that with all your experience for HR and for finance, because that's your core, basically, of the company.
Yeah.
But besides that, it sounds a bit challenging. I guess you need way more talent and industry expertise to do that on a wider scale.
Yeah. And it's that's the power of collective innovation, right? We don't have to have all the answers, but we've got an ecosystem of customers that spans every industry, every geography, the most risk-averse and highly regulated, and they're all informing what we do as an organization through partnership. Okay. And that's been the secret sauce. When you only do one thing, when you deliver a single version service, everybody's using it, and then through that collective innovation, we can all become better together as a result.
Yeah, what we didn't touch on is that I now realized you also build a bunch of agents that are really specialized in what you do with HR and finance, and there are a ton of them announced this week as well.
Including some discrete domains too for industries that we've built capabilities for because of maybe the passion or the love that we have for them. So for example, in higher education, We built a student information system. It's called Workday Student.
Or is
Right.
it because you have many customers in that field? And domain
Also,
expertise.
one of our founders loves higher education. He always has.
Okay.
Right? PeopleSoft was wildly successful in higher ed, and Workday is now too. And so building out that third rail between the people and money with the student side, and then also within our healthcare domain, right? We have the most cloud deployments that are live right now on inventory supply chain for healthcare globally.
Okay.
Well, why did we do that? Because we realized there's some connective tissue in that third rail between your people and your money. That supply is very important as well. So you'll see agents built in discrete domains, kind of like what Carl talked about, I think, on stage broadly, which is we have the data, but we also have the context. And when you combine the two, then you can offer some really cool things that'll help accelerate work and do things better.
Joe, for this good conversation and
Oh, it's my
insight
pleasure.
in what Workday is doing and going towards.
It's willing to talk tech. That makes me happy.
Thank you for watching TechSign TV. We'll be back with more later.
Thank you for watching TechScene TV, the channel about enterprise technology that brings you IT insights and analyses from events all around the globe. We cover everything, everywhere. Visit techscene.eu for more written in-depth articles and analysis, or keep watching techscene.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels and share your favorite videos with your colleagues. We'll see you soon.